Good morning, all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Today we will see about PyTorch, which is an machine learning or deep learning library based on Python programming language. Basically, the PyTorch is something like it's a scientific computing package which is based on Python programming. Basically, it's the Python has yeah. In just a second, I will mute. Yeah, Python has the PyTorch has been targeted for two sets of audience. It's something like it starts with the NumPy. NumPy is something like a numerical Python, which is used to manipulate that numerical arrays uh, basically. But the thing is that numerical Python can be used only in a CPU. It cannot be used on the GPU. The PyTorch has been a replacement for the NumPy, which is has the capability to use the power of GPU, the graphical processing unit, so that our uh, execution of our program will be run in different parallel cores of the GPU, and we will get the better output over there. And the PyTorch is also provides some kind of a deep learning research platform, which something like which provides since it is a Python based one, which provides some kind of a maximum flexibility to run on different kind of machines as well. And we can run these PyTorch on different operating systems like Windows or Linux or Mac OS. And PyTorch supports from Python 3.x. Basically, if suppose we wanted to use the PyTorch, we need the Python 3.x version has to be installed in our system over here. And in order to install the Python in our system, we can use or follow some kind of a systematic approach. Is something like, for example, we can choose different kind of PyTorch, whether it can be completely CPU or we can use the GPU power as well. For example, that we can if suppose we wanted to use the GPU power, we will use some kind of a the toolkit which is called an CUDA, is the NVIDIA's toolkit, which is a framework or an environment which can be used for creating GPU accelerated application. For example, here we have an yeah. We can download that the toolkit from here. The CUDA toolkit, which provides some kind of a the GPU accelerated application can be developed using the CUDA toolkit. Basically, the PyTorch uses that the CUDA so that it can be developed like a GPU accelerated application that we can use. Basically, that the CUDA supports Windows and Linux operating system. Inside the Windows, maybe we can choose our own version, and maybe we can install that the the CUDA toolkit in a normal application. Like we can download the complete CUDA toolkit binary and we can install over there. The similar way we can do the installation of PyTorch based on the we have the option to install the Python or PyTorch over here. It's something like yeah. Here we will be having a kind of a environment that provides what is the command we need to execute. For example, I'm choosing the stable PyTorch version, which is an 1.5.1, and the PyTorch should run on Windows platform. And based on our whether it is our package is based on Conda or Python installer package or libtorch or source, that we can select. If suppose we are using PyTorch the Python installation package, then we can choose it accordingly. And we have that the CUDA toolkit. If suppose we does not have the NVIDIA GPU present in our system, then we can choose none option so that the complete PyTorch will be running over the CPU, not the GPU over here. That whenever we are running completely on the CPU, that the performance will be very very much lower than when we are running with the GPU accelerated, hardware accelerated GPU environment. Maybe we can see how we can confirm whether we have the NVIDIA GPU is present in our system or not. That we can confirm with the help of device manager over here. We cannot install the CUDA on any platform, any system which does not have the NVIDIA GPU. Whichever the system has the NVIDIA GPU, then in that only we can able to install that NVIDIA CUDA toolkit. Here we can able to see, whenever we see that the display adapters, there is an NVIDIA GeForce MX130 GPU is present in this system, so that we can able to download the CUDA toolkit and install over here. For example, I have downloaded and installed that the CUDA 10.2 toolkits over here. Maybe I can, whenever we done with the installation, we will be getting over here. Yeah. Here I have I have installed with the CUDA toolkit, which is an 10.2, and and my system is capable with the NVIDIA GPU over here. And once it is done, that we have something like we can provide some kind of information about CUDA. It's something like it's an underlying graphics processor unit for accelerated application, and the CUDA helps that it can be installed and optimize or develop the application on something like GPU accelerated embedded systems, something like NVIDIA based processors, something like Jetson Nano and Jetson TX2, Jetson TX1 kind of a environment, Jetson AGX, like that. The embedded system environment we can able to deploy, and we can deploy on the desktop workstation, we can deploy on the data centers, and sometimes like Amazon Web Service, they are providing something like the clusters or cloud-based platforms with the NVIDIA GPU enabled one. We can put or deploy our application anywhere over there. And we have something like the CUDA toolkits, which includes some kind of GPU acceleration libraries, and it has the debugging and optimization tools and the compilers and runtime library for application deployment, basically. The CUDA toolkit can be downloaded from developer.nvidia.com/CUDA toolkit. And as we seen, the CUDA toolkit provides an hardware acceleration in various domains, something like linear algebra and algebra calculations, or something like image or video processing, deep learning, or graph analytics kind of application or domains. It plays a vital role over here. And in order to install that, our once after installing the CUDA, then we can install that the uh, the uh, PyTorch over here with the help of I have that the pip3 based environment. I'm going to install using the pip. Basically, that provides some kind of a that we can able to get it from over here by selecting. If suppose your environment is based on Conda, that then we can use this this command to install on your system, basically over here. Since my system is based on pip, I am using that pip based commands over here, and this can be installed with the, if suppose you have installed the CUDA toolkit 10.2, then you can use something like a pip3 install torch equals 1.5.1, which is a latest stable version, and torch vision, that we can able to do that with this command, basically. And if suppose you have already installed the earlier version of CUDA or something like a 10.1 or 9.2 in your system, then you can use these two commands to install the PyTorch according to your CUDA environment over here. And if suppose you does not have the GPU present in your system, then you can use something like a pip3 install torch, and the CPU only version that can be installed on your system, basically over here. And once after installing, maybe we can confirm whether our installation is proper or not with the help of, to validate the PyTorch installation, then maybe we can use an environment over here. I'm going to use the Python console of the PyCharm IDE over here. Yeah. Yeah, in that I'm going to do something like the from maybe I'm going to try import torch, so that the if it is goes through, then the PyTorch installation is okay, or like that. It will take some time, maybe around 5 to 10 seconds to get load. Yes, it got loaded because it means that the PyTorch installation on this system is proper, and we wanted to confirm whether the PyTorch environment and our NVIDIA CUDA toolkit has been linked properly or not. Then the PyTorch installation has detected that NVIDIA CUDA toolkit or not, that we can able to confirm with the help of torch.CUDA is available or not. Something like torch.CUDA is available. Whenever we execute, we got true, which something like this PyTorch has the CUDA environment over here. If suppose we have used only a GPU environment, only a CPU environment, then the CUDA is available will become false over here. Yes. And this provides some kind of a how can we install that over here. And once after an installation, maybe we can start with that PyTorch based application development over here. The one of the core concept of the PyTorch, which is an tensor. Tensor is the one which is very similar to the NumPy n-dimensional array. It can be a multi-dimensional array. For example, it can be a single dimension, or it can be a two-dimensional, or it can be a three-dimensional or four-dimensional. Like that, we can able to use that, create that n-dimensional array using this tensor, basically. And the tensor can be used on GPU. For example, the NumPy does not uses the GPU, and in case of tensor, which can be used on CPU, so that the computing will be faster and we will get that thing accordingly. For example, that we are seeing something like the diamond. For example, that the in a different two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, like that we are saying, what is the need for that? As we have seen, something like in our uh, over here, and I am going to open. Why we need to targeting something like a diamond array, two-dimensional array or n-dimensional array, that we can see that the importance of that with the image representation. Here we have the image has been represented in the two-dimensional array over here. For example, this is something like we have something like 640 pixels on the horizontal and 480 pixels on the vertical. Then it will be something like a 640 cross 480 array of information, basically. That because of that, if suppose we wanted to process the image is represented in the two-dimensional array. Because of that, the tensor comes into picture, which can represent the image in the two-dimensional array, and each and every pixels of data can be processed using the tensor, basically, over here. Because of that, we are dealing with the PyTorch provides an features to handle the n-dimensional arrays, so that it can be used for processing anything. If suppose you are processing something like a one-dimensional array of information or images or image frame with the two-dimensional array, it has the flexibility to process, and the tensor has the information something like it can be run over the GPU. For example, that if suppose we wanted to process one frame, one part of the frame on one GPU, another part of the image frame can be on the different GPU, which provides some kind of a accelerated computing, which makes that system faster, basically. Here we will see how can we create an arrays using a tensor, basically. Here we will be having, we can use something kind of a uninitialized matrix with the help of torch.md that helps to create an array, the tensor, basically. I'm going to create x equals torch dot empty. In that I'm going to give 5 comma 3, which means that the 5 cross 3 two-dimensional array has been created over here. And whenever we do something like x dot size over here, which provides something like a torch of size 5 comma 3, And we can see something like over here that how it was represented. Maybe we can able to see something like the three, for example, tensor of the 5 cross 3. This is something like a 5 something like uh, 5 rows and 3 columns, like that we have the 3 columns is present over here on the first row, second row, third row, fourth row and fifth row over here. This basically provides, we are creating with the 5 cross 3 of tensor over here. Since we are doing some kind of uninitialized torch tensor, because of that, the values will be loaded with random values. It can be, we cannot predict any values on that location basically over here. And if suppose we wanted to do some kind of the create an tensor with some kind of a random values with the random numbers, then we can use the 5 cross 3 torch dot random 5 comma 3 is the function that we can use over here. For example, I'm going to use x equals torch dot random of 5 cross 3 over here, which provides some kind of a random numbers has been allocated over here. And if suppose we wanted to create the uh, tensor with all the values of zeros, then we can use the zeros 5 comma 3, then all the values will be initialized to 0 over here. And if suppose we wanted to create a tensor using some kind of a data type, then we can use something like maybe I'm going to use the keyword attribute called data type can be d type can be used, so that the d type equals torch dot it can be a long, or maybe if suppose we wanted to do a double, we can use the double over here, or we can use the floating point. The data type of that particular uh, tensor element can be defined over here. That I'm going to define the data type of long over here. And after creation, that we got output of tensor 5 rows and 3 columns got created over here. And we have, if suppose we wanted to create a tensor with directly with the data, then we can able to do that with the help of over here. For example, x maybe y equals torch dot tensor, maybe a data. I'm going to pass the data, maybe something like 5.5, maybe 2 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 over here I'm going to create, and which means that the tensor has been created with the one row and 4 column. Maybe we can add something like 0 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, which creates sorry, it has to be given like this. Yeah, which creates some kind of a 2 rows and 4 columns has been created over here. Yes, like that. Maybe for example, we can have that the number of rows has been shown over here. This is something like 5 rows, and this is 2 rows over here. Yes, yeah. Yeah, that this gives a flexibility to define a tensor. Basically, the tensor can be yeah, multi-dimensional array, so that it can able to fill with the image frame data like that, basically over here. And we have some kind of operations, and that can be done over the tensor, that we can able to do over here with the help of the tensor operation, something like addition of two tensors that can be done with the help of x plus y, like that. Maybe I'm going to do the tensor over here, maybe sum equals x plus y over here. Yeah, it's something like we are trying to add the tensor with something like it has to be in the same size of over here, that it has to be there, because I am going to create something like y equals, maybe I am going to create the tensor with the torch dot random of 5 comma 3, then d type equals torch dot long over here. Yeah, it has been created with the two tensors which are all equal in size. Maybe I'm going to add sum equals x plus y over here, which provides and sum with something like that. It has been added with the each and every element has been added, and we got the output of over here. And the similar way, maybe we can do some kind of a multiplication, y equals y multiplied by 4, maybe that it provides some kind of each element has been multiplied by 4. For example, 0.8 is multiplied by 4, which is 3.3 over here, and 0.07 is multiplied, it comes like a 0.31, like that. It has been we can do the multiplication operation, subtraction and division operation, that we can able to done over the tensor accordingly over here. That it's something like, if suppose we wanted to the convert that the, and the similar way we can use something like a kind of torch dot add is the another syntax that can be used for addition as well. For example, that we have the, I wanted to add some equals, maybe torch dot add maybe x comma y, and then out equals to sum, that maybe I am going to define over here, and which provides the some kind of addition, that we can able to do that with the help of torch dot add function, that can be used for adding two torches, two functions basically over here. And for example, that maybe we will integrate that into this, that we will see the over here. And yeah, if suppose we wanted to convert that, yeah, numpy into an tensor, and tensor into the numpy, that we can able to do that with the help of a dot numpy, the function that the tensor dot numpy. For example, I wanted to convert, for example, numpy n equals, I'm going to do x dot numpy, which provides the output of n equals n dimensional array, which is something like 5 cross 3, and which the element basically over here, which provides the conversion of over here. And if suppose we wanted to convert back from the numpy to tensor, then we can use the function called torch dot from numpy basically. I'm going to use maybe y equals maybe b equals torch dot from numpy, and the n-dimensional array I'm going to give n over here, and we got it converted with the n has been n numpy variable has been converted into the tensor, and it has the 5 elements, the five, three 5 rows and 3 columns over there in the two-dimensional array over here. This provides some kind of a manipulation of array of data over here, and once it is done, then we have the option to have some kind of a create a automatic gradients creation, something like what we can say, something like a gradient is the difference basically. Over here, for example, we have the two the gradient of two-dimensional array, which is something like we will be having the x1, x2, x3, x up to like that, and we have an y1 and y2, y3 like that. If suppose we wanted to do the gradient of that, then it will be something like dy minus dx1 and dy1 divided by dx1 like that, that the gradient will be calculated. In order to do that, AutoGrade is the package which is very central for neural networks in a Python, PyTorch, which provides some kind of a automatic differentiation for all the operations in the tensor. For example, if any value get changed in this tensor, then it does the differentiation automatically for all the operations on the tensor. And it's something like we can say that defined by run framework, which something like the when it will be like a backdrop, and it's something like whenever the tensor get changed or tensor has been any operations are done over the tensor during the code execution, which makes that it automatically creates the differentiation on differentiation, and auto gradients will be automatically calculated accordingly in the background, which is something like defined by run framework over here. And we have some kind of a environment which says something like this, since it is the tensor, will have the each and every iteration can be completely different, and the tensor can be created with the requires grad as true. For example, I wanted to make the tensor that has to be start the automated differentiation in the parallel, then I have to create a tensor like this. Maybe I'm going to create the tensor. For example, C is torch dot maybe a random over here, and 5,3 over here, and then requires yeah torch dot tensor, and I'm going to provide the data over here, and I'm going to create 3, 4, 5, and then I can give the require underscore grad equals true over here, which makes that the tensor has been 3.0 and 4.0 and 5.0. Yeah, that it has been created. Maybe we can use something like C dot, maybe grad will give the output. For example, uh, print. It's uh, C equals C into 2 over here, and I'm going to get that uh, uh, this has to be created with the class with the backward that we will see over here in order to create that the gradients in the parallel that we will see on that. Yeah, basically that request dot grad which makes that uh, 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 makes that the gradient it will create something like a gradient in the parallel manner, and the automated gradient calculation can be stopped with the help of torch dot no gradient, and we can use with the new suppose in order to create the new tensor with the same content we can use the detach, so that once after copying that the tensor, the automated gradient calculation will be stopped over here. And now we will move forward with the creation of a neural network over here. The, the neural network can be constructed using a torch NN package, which torch NN package which contains the NN module which contains a layer which provides a method of forward input that returns a respective output over here. And we can see a simple network how we can able to create using a PyTorch uh, over here. A simple network with something like we can provide a image of A that we can be a 32 cross 32 image, or it can be a 32 cross 32 two-dimensional array that we are feeding over here, and inside that we are trying to do that feature maps with the convolution over here, and once it is done we are doing the subsampling, and we are trying to convert after subsampling we are doing that convolution, and the convolution from the convolution we are doing the subsampling again, and once it is done we are trying to once we got the different subsampling of output, and from there we are trying to achieve the output layer accordingly over here, that we will see how can we create an simple network using this. Yeah. Uh, the simple network that we are trying to achieve is something like a simple feed forward network. It's something like it's feed forward, which means that it provides the input to the output in the forward manner. It takes the input and feeds through several layers and finally gives the output. For example, here the 32 cross 32 has been fed to that the feature mapping over here with the convolution, and once it is done we are doing the subsampling, and after that we are doing the convolution again and the subsampling again, and with that we are going to convert into the output layer over here. For example, here the data has been provided from one layer to another layer. To move forward, it's not the data is not coming back. Because of that, it is called like a feed forward network basically. The deep learning framework which basically deals with some kind of a feed forward network. It does not has been it 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 does not do the data backwards basically. It will be something like it moves forward in the data will move forward in go in the forward direction only over here. And once we got that, it has something like creates the different kind of the training process involves something like defining a neural network that has the parameters and weights over there. And if suppose we wanted to iterate over a data set, that we will do that. And once it is done, then we will do the process input through the network over here, over there, and we will be using some kind of a computation of loss. For example, whenever we are giving that one input, we are expecting this as a target output, but whatever we are getting as an output, that should be compared, and it provides some kind of a loss estimation or loss computation, which which is varied from the expected output and the output we got basically over here. And we have the option something like we can propagate gradients into the network parameters. And if suppose we wanted to adjust the weights of network with this maybe a simple update with the help of weight minus the current weight minus learning rate with the gradient, that we can able to get it accordingly over here. Now we will going to define a network over here. For that, I'm going to create a class. The Python file I'm going to create over here, something like new Python file. It can be maybe deep learning neural network.py over here. And once it is done, I'm going to do import torch, which is something like we are importing a PyTorch PyTorch package into our program. And the torch.nn, as we discussed over here, the torch.nn, which provides which helps to construct the neural network that we are going to import over here. For example, I'm going to do import torch.nn as nn. As nn means something like wherever we wanted to use torch.nn, we can use nn directly, so that the torch.nn will be treated as the torch.nn over here. And once it is done, we should have some kind of modules that can be used over here for which contains a layers that it has to create a method which contains a method, provides input, and it can be given with the input, and that returns the respective output accordingly over here. And maybe I'm going to add some kind of a functional APIs that I'm going to use over here. Import torch.nn.functional, functional as f over here. I'm going to define a class of maybe something like a network, and which I'm going to create this class as a child class of nn.module. nn.module is the one which contains the layers basically. We wanted to create the multiple layers in the neural network, and the PyTorch has that NN is the torch.nn is the package which is used to construct the neural network. Inside that, we have that nn.modules, which contains layers, and it also has the function called method called forward, which receives the input and returns the output. Basically, over here, when here, since it contains the layers, I am going to define a new class which is an child class for this nn dot module over here. And here, the whenever whatever be the class we are giving, which is an base class for this class net over here. And this means that the net parent class is nn dot module over here. And once it is done, maybe we can create a constructor over here, and in the constructor maybe we need to define that the mask that we wanted to do over here, and with something like I'm going to create uh, I'm going to call that the super class, the base class function, base class constructor over here, the super of net comma self dot init of self over here, which calls that the super base class parent class constructor will be get called over here. And after that, I'm going to create some kind of with respect to this with respect to this network, I'm going to create two convolutions over here, and that two convolutions I'm going to create over here. For that, I'm creating a two convolutions which is handling with the nn dot two-dimensional convolution that I'm going to create over here. Self dot convolution one, which is something like that nn dot convolution. It is an two-dimensional over here, and inside the two-dimensional, I'm going to define something like integer, the channels 1, then the output channels is 6, and we have the kernel size that it has to be 3 over here. And similar way, I'm going to create another convolution over here, convolution 2, which is something like nn dot convolution 2D, and I'm going to define 1 cross 16 comma 3 over here. Sorry. Once it is done, maybe we have to do that the image dimension formation, something like in the linear format, that I'm going to create something like a 3 linear conversion over here, which we see over the linear conversion over here, that we could be able to see over here. The linear layer 1, 2, 3 that we are going to create with the help of the linear function over here. That we can able to create with the help of self dot the forward one fc1 equals something like nn dot linear, and I'm going to use the in features, the integer, something like I'm going to give 16 cross 6 cross 6 over here, and then the out features that we are going to give something like the out features is something like 120 is the out features I'm going to give over here. And once it is done, I'm going to create the other one, the next one, with the help of nn dot linear, which is going to be something like the input features are 120 and output features are 84 over here. And the same way self dot fc3, which is something like nn dot linear, and input features are 84 and it's something like output feature are 10 over here, which we will see how we can able to get this kind of output over here, that we can able to see that, which means something like the linear convolutions that we are seeing, the 120 is the output of this linear output features are 120, that has been provided like input over here, which is something like which has the for example, I'm going to create uh, yeah, that we will see. Mm, yeah, in the deep learning we've seen something like the neurons over here. For example, this may for example, it has the in features and out features over here. The whatever be the features, in features, and it has been connected with the out features. For example, here we have something like a in feature is 16 cross 6 cross 6 and out feature is 120. The FC1 output features are 120, FC1 is going to get connected with the FC2. It means that FC2 will have should have 120 feature as an input, and it has to provide some kind of a output, which is something like a 84 is the output features of FC2, and FC2 has been connected with the FC3 like that it was going around over here. Yeah, that we will see something like I'm going to define, yeah, network maybe it's something like, yeah, I'm going to define I have convolution 1, convolution 2, and I have FC1 over here. This is a form of network we are trying to form over here. It's something like FC1 and FC2, and we have FC3. The input will be given to this over here. Whatever be the input, that will be fed to this one over here, and convolution, after the convolution of the first convolution, the output will be given to this over here. The convolution 2 will come into picture, and once the convolution 2 has been done, it will do the convolution 2 output will be forwarded to the FC2 FC1 as a linear conversion, a linear convolution, and we have something like FC1 output will be forwarded to the FC2, and we have something like FC2 output will be forwarded to FC3. For example, that here whenever we are creating that whenever we are creating something like a neural network dot, whether it is a linear or it is a two-dimensional convolution, that we have to provide some kind of a we have to provide some kind of a what we can say input features and output features basically over here. It's something like Here we have something like input features for the linear conversion that we are the input feature is 16 cross 6 cross 6, which is something like 16 cross 6 cross 3, which is an single dimensional. We are doing the two-dimensional convolution. Because of that, we will be getting 16 cross 6 into 6 is the output features that we are getting from the convolution 2 over here, and that has been fed as the input, and it provides the output features of 120. FC1 provides 120 output features. For example, that the FC1 provides 120 output features that it has to be get connected with. Each and every connection has to be created in the next neuron, something like a FC3. FC1 is contains 120 output. Uh, uh, FC1 contains 120 output features over here, and 120 output feature has to be get connected with the next one, which is an FC2, which should receive that the complete 120 features over here. That using the 120 is the input arguments, and it provides the output features of 84 output features it provides, and we can link this 84 output features with the FC3, which has the capable to receive the FC3 has the capable to receive 84 input features from the FC2 over here. This kind of a simple network we are trying to form over here. Uh, is this fine? Any doubts you have? Yeah. Okay. Then we shall move forward with defining how the linking will happen. This is some kind of a initialization, how the features input and output. Now we will do how can we do the linking between each other, that we will see over here. Yeah. And once it is done, maybe we can use we can use some kind of a we have to use that a forward function, which can be, as we see in something like we have that we have the method called forward, which receives the input and returns the output over here. Basically, this neural network, which receives the input over here, which is an X, and it processes the input and provides the output over there. For example, here, whenever we see that input has been given to that convolution 1, and it generates the output of X, and same has been provided to the input for convolution 2, and once it is done, then it has been added with the features, the flat features, and it has been given to the FC1 as the input, and it generates the X, and it has provides the output of the FC1 output has been provided to the FC2 over here, and once FC2 is done, it has been provided as input to the FC3, and it provides the output X, which is an output over here. That we will see over here, that we can do that with the information of def forward of self comma X over here, and once it receives the X, I am going to do some kind of we have the option, something like activation function. It's something like activation function. We have different kind of activation function, which is called sigmoid based activation function and ReLU based activation function. Maybe I can show over here. The output will be something like z equals something like 1 divided by 1 plus e power minus y is the output, and that will be compared whether it is, if it is less than 0.5, that will be treated like 0. If it is 0.5 greater than 0.5, that will be treated like 1. In case of a sigmoid, in case of a ReLU, it will be something like max of y z comma 0, y comma 0, which means something like the, if the value is lesser than 0, then 0 will, it will be considered like a 0, and whatever be the value greater than 0, that will be treated like a output over here. That for the manipulation of activation, we are doing the ReLU function over here. That we will see that x equals f dot max pool 2D. It's going, we are going to deal with the two-dimensional over here, and inside that we are going to use f dot ReLU, which something like, and uh, it's something that we can do self dot convolution 1 of x, then comma we have the option which is something like 2 cross 2 over here, which converts that x into a 2 cross 2 kind of a subsampling it does, and does the convolution over here. For example, it does the convolution, for example, sorry, in the network we are doing the convolution and then we are doing the subsampling over here, and with something like 2 cross 2, it's something like 28 cross 28 has been divided by 4 basically, which means that 14 cross 4, 14 cross 4, 14 cross 4, 4 14 cross 4 will be created over here. That is the 2 cross 2 subsampling over here, and which is which we done with the, after we receive the input, we does the convolution of x, is x is the input we received over here, and we does the convolution 1, and once it is done, that we are doing the resampling with respect to the ReLU activation. We are doing the resampling or the subsampling over here, and we created with the two-dimensional array with the 2 cross 2 uh, 2 cross 2 subsampling, that creates some kind of a 14 cross 14 pixels over here. And once it is done, then we are going to again do the convolution over here, f dot max pool D and 2D two-dimensional and f dot ReLU, and I'm going to do something like self dot convolution 2 of x over here, and we are going to do the, again we are going to do the subsampling over here. After the convolution, we are going to do the subsampling over here. The subsampling, sorry, uh, subsampling with the 2 divided by 2 over here, which is something like sorry, 2 over here. Once we get the output, then we are we are processing that into the get, in order to get the flat features that we have over here, with something like x dot size, and this if suppose size is number of features that into the size that we are trying to add over here, that we have the function to convert the, yeah, basically that x will be received, and it based on the size that it multiplies the different sizes, and it returns back the number of features over here. Basically it tries to get the number of features present inside that x after the convolution over here. And once it is done, I'm going to do some kind of a x dot view, x equals x dot view of -1 comma something like num underscore flat, sorry, self dot num underscore flat features of x I'm going to give, so that it provides the output as x with the number of features, and the number of features can be provided over here again. For example, f dot ReLU, and then we can use that the linear conversion with the FC1 of x over here, and we got the output with the features. For example, we have provided with the 120 16 cross 16 cross 6, which is the output from convolution 2 that we have provided as an input to the FC1, which we got the output features of 120 over here, and 120 I am going to connect with the FC2 over here. I'm going to provide the output to the FC2, the output of FC1 to the input of FC2 over here with the help of f dot ReLU, and then self dot FC2 of x over here. And once it is done, maybe I'm going to use that the self dot FC3 of x, that FC2 output is x over here. We got that x has been fed like to the output of to the input of FC3, and we got the output over here, and we are going to return x, which is an output of this neural network basically over here. And in order to use, I am going to define a object over here, net equals net of over here. And once it is done, maybe I am going to do print of net in order to access that the network information that we will see over here. I'm going to run this. Yeah. Whenever we are running this, maybe I'm going to run DLL9 deep learning neural network.py. I'm going to run. Yeah, this we got the output something like we have created the object for this class net, and we are printing the net output, which contains something like two convolutions and three linear linear conversion that it has. Basically the two-dimensional convolution 1 and convolution 2, and then we have three linear conversions something like FC1, FC2 and FC3 over here. And once it is done, that we have the output, we have that the network has been printed over here, and we wanted to explore the learnable parameters of the model and the size that we wanted to list. Maybe that we can able to do that with the help of list of net.parameters that provides the output over here. And I'm going to give params equals list of net dot parameters over here. And once it is done, maybe we can do the print parameter. Maybe I'm going to give a param length over here, and then params equals over here, and then dot format. I'm going to give len of params over here, and then we can define, we can provide something like a params of 0 dot size over here. And maybe we can try to print the network parameters that we are trying to print over here, and we will get the outputs. Yeah, it's something like parameter length is 10, and we have something like, for example, 6133, which is the, maybe we can, we will try to do this something like this, and yeah, maybe I'm going to do for x in range of something like len of params. I'm going to do, inside that I'm going to print control X, maybe I'm going to remove the length, only the param size I'm going to define. Sorry. Param index, and then over here I'm going to do x and params of size over here, and we will try to print with the help of the len of params in the range. It's something like we have the 10 params over here. The first parameter is 6133, which has been received over here, and which the second param is a 6, and the third parameters is something like 16 cross 6 into 3, 3, which something like that we are going to use it over here with the help of over here, and which is something like 576 is the one, and which going to receive that 120, and 120 has been given to that 84 output features. 84 has been provided to the 10, and 10 is the output. This is the complete uh, and this is the complete output structure of the parameters of the network over here, that we are able to get it with the torch size, each torch size, how it is going to manipulate, that we are going to see, we are seeing over here. Yes, and once it is done, maybe if suppose we wanted to process some input, I'm going to create I'm going to process some kind of input with something like randomly created numbers I'm going to give over here, and for that I'm going to do input equals torch dot random, and the size I'm going to define something like 1 cross 1 comma 32 comma 32 over here, which I have created with the 32 elements of 32 cross 32, which something like we have defined the input, which is something like a 32 cross 32 over here. Instead of providing the pixels, I'm providing something like random numbers generated over here, and I'm going to provide that input, and inside the input I'm going to process the input over here. It's something like that we can process with the help of output equals net of input. I am processing this net of input. The net of input, whenever we are providing this net of the class input, it will be provided to the method forward function over here, and method forward function receives the input and returns the output. Here we have done with that method overridden with the forward function over here, and we does the our own manipulation of with the two-dimensional two numbers of two-dimensional convolution, and three numbers of linear has been done over here, and it returns the output over here. That whatever be the output written by the forward, we will be receiving over here in the output. And I'm going to get print of out over here. Now we will see the output of the particular neural network that we will see over here. Yeah, this is the output that we have. Basically, we have defined something like a output will be given with the 10 features, and we have the output of array which has something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 elements of output we got from here over here. This provides some kind of a creating a neural network by passing the input, and we can get the respective output from the neural network over here. And once it is done, maybe we can try for something like a output which is the we can do the estimation of loss, that we can able to do that with the help of the target and the output we got, that we can able to do that. There is a different loss functions are available in the PyTorch framework with the neural network. Here we are using a simple loss function which is called MSE loss, that we are going to use over here. I'm going to, once after received that output, I'm going to create a target over here, and which is something like target equals, I'm going to have a torch dot random n, and which is something like 10. We are receiving the 10 elements that I'm going to create with the 10, and with something like target equals target dot view of something like 1 comma -1. We are giving something like this, just a simple value to check whether it matches over here, and the error loss that I'm going to do nn.msc loss over here, and once it is done, maybe loss equals critic dot that law is something like output. We got the out comma target over here, and which provides a loss, and we can get the loss, we can print the loss information from here. And I'm going to run this, which provides some kind of the tensor that loss, it comes up like the 1.1 is the loss comparing with this the output tensor with respect to the target tensor basically, that we are providing some kind of a sample to comparison over here, and which provides the output of 1.1.3 is the loss we are seeing over here. Whenever we do the loss, it's something like we are doing the convolution. It's something like convolution 2D and ReLU activation function and max 2D, full D, and we have the convolution 2-dimensional, and we are doing the ReLU activation again and maximum full D, and we are doing the view to get that the number of features, and we are doing the linear regression, and we have the ReLU and ReLU based activation and linear again, and ReLU, and we got the output over here, which we are conforming this output with the target output with the MSE loss, and we got the output of loss over here. And if suppose we wanted to do some kind of a backward propagation, we can use the function called backwards, that we can able to do that with the help of over here. And if suppose we wanted to get some kind of bias or gradients before and after the backward function, that we can able to do that with the back propagation. It's something like we have, I'm going to do over here net dot zero gradients, uh, and then I'm going to print before this over here, print of net dot convolution one dot maybe bias dot grad over here, the gradient of bias, and then which is something like a before we are doing the backwards, and I'm going to do loss dot backward over here. And once it is done, I'm going to define something like a, after that, I'm going to print it again over here. Yeah, maybe I'm going to give loss, sorry, maybe bias before backward dot format, and maybe I'm going to do a bias after backward over here with something I'm going to do over here, which dot format and over here. Now we will see that the difference between the bias gradients that we will see over here. Yeah, the bias before backward is none, and but the thing is after we done the backward, the gradient has been the automated gradient has been generated, and we got the output of the gradient of bias of the convolution. The convolution one, we got the output of the tensor gradient uh, uh, gradient for the bias tensor that we got the output over here basically. And if suppose we wanted to do some kind of updates in the during the weights that we wanted to do that updates, then we can do some kind of updates over here. For example, I'm going to do the updates in the parameters before I am processing it. For example, I'm going to do for f in net dot parameters over here, and once it is received, I'm going to do a simple one with the help of learning rate. I'm going to define 0.01, and once it is done, I'm going to do some kind of f dot data dot sub over here. It's something like my I'm going to subtract from the data over here f dot grad dot data comma something like learning rate over here. It's something like sorry. We have the output something like we have to define we have to subtract that learning rate into gradient over here. For example, I'm going to define something like a subtraction, the gradient data into learning rate, which I have defined something like a 0.01, that I am updating into the parameters, so that the weightage for the each connections will be get deferred accordingly over here. Yeah, that we will see how it has been printing. Maybe I'm going to print check the output over here that we will see. This something like, sorry, uh, f dot the gradient for this net parameters was not done over here. Maybe I'm going to do net dot parameters dot, dot maybe uh, f dot gradient dot data that we have to do f dot data dot backward over here, and I'm going to run this. Yeah, this may be that the updating the weight, it has to get created with the gradient automatically. That we will see. Maybe it has some issue in my environment. Maybe we shall see on the uh, on tomorrow over here. And once it is done, maybe we can use that for example, if suppose we wanted to do that, the optimizer in our optimization in our neural network, that we have to use the optimizer which is present in the PyTorch, which is an optim over here, and I'm going to use something like the optimizer, which is an stochastic grade descent is the optimizer which we are going to use over here, SGD, with the net dot parameters over here, and we will get the output over here. For that, I'm going to use some kind of a import torch dot optim over here as optim, and then the optim I'm going to apply over here. Optimizer I'm going to create with the learning. Instead of this, I'm going to define something like a learning rate over here with the optimizer. Yeah, I'm going to apply that SGD, which is something like an optimizer with the net parameters, the learning rate of 0.01 with the optimizer, and once it is done, I'm going to do something like optimizer.0 grade basically over here, which does the updates, and I'm going to use that optimizer.grade over here and net of input, and which we are going to use output and target over here before the loss, and I'm going to do the optimizer step over here after the backward over here. Yeah, which provides the output, optimized output over here that we will see. Yeah, we got the output after the bias, after backward, that we got the output over here, the loss over here. That with respect to the earlier, the loss, maybe we can see something like the loss has been reduced from 1.1 to 0.2, that it has been reduced with that MSC loss over here with the optimizer accordingly. And with this, we come to end of this session. Please feel free to ask any questions if you have here.
Sir, if we are using this convolution neural network for classification and all, do we have anything
Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
breaking? No?
Hello? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, is it audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have like to plot accuracy like MATLAB? We have confusion matrix and all.
Yes, ma'am. The
Like
same.
that we have here in Python.
Yes, ma'am. That in the MATLAB we are doing with something like accuracy, that we are trying to achieve that something like we can. You mean to say something like we can does the plot like a graph, how accurate it is from the deviating from that one. That we can in the Python we have the package called matplotlib. Using that we can whatever we have received the output, that we can use that as the input to plot over there, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We got the loss from the target, and the output we got the loss. With this we can able to get the accuracy over here by drawing that the output and target, that we can able to draw with using the matplotlib is the package that can be used for that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you.
So, can we do this with Colab?
Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
PyTorch. Colab, Google.
Colab, I did not get you, ma'am.
I
Sir,
mean,
Python we can use in like Google Colabs is there online. We can use that Python programming. Like that PyTorch can be used
yeah.
online without installation. Is it
Yeah,
possible,
yeah.
sir?
And yes, I'm not sure about, ma'am. Actually, that PyTorch, which needs the processing power, if for that, the better is to use with the. Actually, there is a the GPU hosted cloud platforms are available. I'm not sure that whether it was enabled with the GPU enabled platform. If it is that, then we can use on that platform. Yes, ma'am. If so, there is some online coding platforms, in that you can use something like the only the Python standard packages can be used. It cannot be if that platform supports to install that additional packages, then we can use on that as well, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, could you provide some idea about this audio signals, how to separate, split the audio signals? Because I am doing research in music emotion, sir. Music into emotion. That is classification of music into emotions. So could you provide some idea, sir?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. That I will. Actually, this has been planned with the image. Maybe I shall provide an idea to you. Yes. Yes.
Okay, sir. So in the coming days or in person?
Yeah, that maybe I shall try to include maybe half an hour on how can we do that.
The coming,
That we can that maybe we shall plan for a half an hour in between. Yes.
at least some basic ideas regarding audio.
Generally signals, I mean any
Yes,
signal,
madam.
might be audio or biomedical signal or any signal. If you just get us started as of how to do the CNN and things with PyTorch, it will be useful for us. Or is it only for images?
Okay, madam. Yeah, because I am asking regarding RNN. RNN is useful for audio.
Yes. Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
that. That's what I'm expecting. That.
CNN, yeah.
So I'm expecting that part also maybe in the coming days, any half an hour or 1 hour. Some idea, ma'am.
Hariharan sir, maybe we can plan for that. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes,
half an hour session for a signal processing application, sir.
okay, ma'am. That
Yes,
maybe,
sir.
maybe in the last day.
Last day. Okay, sir.
We shall plan.
Yes, sir. We shall plan. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll conclude for today.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.